true skinwalker sighting. To start this story off and to give a little insight about me, I am a 18-year-old female who grew up in Michigan and have lived in the country for as long as I can remember, and for heads up, this is a long story, so bear with me. Now back to the story. On one particular hot summer weekend, me and a couple friends, including my boyfriend, let's call him Tony, and my older brother, let's call him Brad, decided we were gonna go camping for the weekend since it was such a nice warm week. Tony's parents had owned a cabin way out in Ludington, surrounded by a huge wooded area with a personal lake and no neighbors for at least 4 miles. But being stupid teenagers, we did not really think about that. All we were ready for was to party like any normal teens would. Well, after being there for 2 hours, our fun had started. Tony's friends had bring tons of alcohol and weed to last us for the weekend, so we would not be bored since we had no service and only movies to watch. After it got around 12 a.m. and was pitch black, we had a huge bonfire going. It was a total of 6 people, including me and Tony, as we talked and laughed about upcoming events in our lives. We were so distracted that we did not notice that my brother had literally frozen his eyes onto one section of the woods. Mind you, we were all intoxicated and high at that time. Eventually our talking ceased when Tony realized his friend and my brother had an emotionless expression. "Hey dude, you alright?" he asked Brad. Silence. Brad did not reply or even make any movements that would indicate he heard him. After that, I started to get scared, as well as the other 2 girls there. It took a lot for my brother to act that way. Eventually I was the first to catch on that he was excessively staring into a certain spot in the woods. I turned my head and followed his gaze the best I could. And when I finally caught on to what he was staring at, my heart dropped. There, right fucking there, was, at first look, a dog. At least that's what I thought. It was some person's dog that wandered off. But then my brain kicked in, and I realized there was not neighbors for miles, so how could there be a dog? My mind started to race while Tony still tried to get Brad to speak or even move. In one motion this thing stood up tall, and when I say tall I mean fucking gigantic. It had to be at least 6 feet tall. Everyone seen it then, how could you not? The other 2 girls and the other boy with us gasped as they finally grasped why my brother was as still as a stick. No one moved for what seemed like hours. Tony was the first to talk. "No tail," he mumbled. No one heard what he said, but Brad. And I swear to you, when I say his eyes wide and as big as pan saucers, that freaked me out immediately. "What did you say?" one of the girls asked. "It has no fucking tail," he hissed at her. My heartbeat stopped. He was right, there was no tail on this thing. Suddenly my clouded alcohol mind cleared up in a fraction of a second when I finally realized what this thing was. Now I understood why my brother was basically shitting his pants. This thing was a skinwalker. My instincts kicked in right then and there. But before I could nope the fuck out of there, the thing let off a terrible stench like rotting meat before screaming inhuman-like. The sound was enough to scare the fuck out of everyone. My brother was the first up out of his chair and started shouting native words to the creature. Why, I told everyone to get the fuck inside. No one questioned me when they seen just how dead serious I was, especially Tony. He's never seen me so scared, so he knew it was a bad situation. We all hightailed it into the cabin with my brother in tow, still shouting native words at the creature, which seemed to keep it at bay, while it gave us enough time to get inside. He slammed and locked the door before turning all the lights off and grabbing a special ash from the kitchen counters and started throwing it at every window and door while chanting. Of course, he had everyone freaked out and basically in tears at that moment. After he was done, no one said a word for a long time, all of us still in shock. He grabbed our dad's pistol and had it posted by him for hours. Everyone was entirely too shaken up to even question what happened. We must have fallen asleep eventually because I woke up to my brother packing all our stuff into the 2 cars early in the morning. I understood why. We had native family, we knew what we were dealing with, and we knew it would come back and maybe not alone. Before we left, I did a blessing on the cabin and spoke a few calming words to the still very freaked out girls. We left as soon as everything was packed up. To this day we still have not explained exactly to our friends what happened that night, and they never bothered to ask us either. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button to support my work. And as always, enjoy the fear, my dear.